This is about 1570 years ago when many barbarian tribes attacked the Roman Empire. Barbarians and Huns attacked many cities of the Roman Empire and caused a lot of destruction. The people living there wanted to run away to save their lives, but on one side the Adriatic Sea and on the other side the Traian Sea was blocking their way. They had only one option left, so they started running towards the nearby islands in the sea. After reaching there, they were saved from the attacks, but these islands were built in the coastal lake, whose soil was so soft that even a human could not stand on it. But going against all the difficulties, these people not only settled here but also showed one feat of engineering after another and built buildings, canals, and even bridges. This is the city which the world knows today as Venice. Despite this, there were no roads, no land, and no clean drinking water here. But still, Venice made it the most powerful city. But how was all this possible? How was such a big city built on those small islands on which it was impossible to even stand? That too, about 1,000 years ago. The people who had left the Roman cities and had initially gone to these islands had no place to live here. The land was like a soft swamp on which anything placed would start sinking. At that time, many people suggested going back to the shore, but returning meant death. Barbarians and Huns were some nomadic tribes of northern Europe who had attacked here, taking advantage of the weakness of the Roman Empire. At that time, the situation was so serious that living on these soft islands became their compulsion. There were more than 150 small islands 5 kilometers away from the shore, but the condition of all of them was the same. During this time, one of the refugees was sinking under the ground. To save himself, he buried the paddle of his boat in the ground, and after going several feet down, it became absolutely solid. This is where he got the idea, which later became the foundation of Wayne City. Tree trunks were brought from the forests a few kilometers away from here, and were hammered and buried on the marshy islands. After going down about 5 meters, these trunks would get a grip on the hard soil of the ground. They were hammered close to each other so that a stable platform could be made. After putting the piles in, their upper part was cut and leveled, and wooden planks were laid on top of it so that the entire load could be equally divided among the piles. To raise this foundation above the water level, special limestone blocks were placed, load of stones on top and 5-meter-long wooden piles below. This simple combination was enough to make a strong foundation. The wooden trunks, which were now inside the water, swelled and became tight to each other, and there was no space left for air to pass between them. This is the reason why the piles that were buried in Venice about 1,000 years ago have been bearing the weight of the city in perfect condition till date. After laying the foundation, the work of building buildings was started on it. Initially, houses were made of wood, but they often caught fire during cooking, etc. Later, the use of bricks also started. To keep the buildings light, the houses were not more than 3 stories high. A special liquid made from limestone powder was poured between the bricks so that the walls remained flexible along with being strong. The floors and the inner walls were made of wood, which were held from outside by inserting iron rods. This idea became quite famous, and in no time the island started filling up with houses in this way. Normally, cities spread outwards, but here it started spreading inwards. Earlier, the only way to go from one island to another was by using boots, but later, as the population grew, the islands became poor, and now one could cross the islands by riding horses in shallow water. Now, the biggest need in Venice City was to connect these islands to each other. For the first 500 years, these islands were not connected to each other, but when the population grew and business started to grow, the business hub here was called Rialto. First of all, an attempt was made to build a simple wooden bridge here. This bridge is called Anton Bridge, in which the passage is made with the help of floats. This bridge made it easy to reach Rialto, but because it was standing with the support of floats, it used to shake a lot and often people used to fall from it. Later, a permanent wooden bridge was also built here, but in the year 1310, due to uproar, it was set on fire. Even after the fire, the Rialto Bridge stood for the next 140 years, but finally, in the year 1444, due to excessive load, it collapsed. Finally, to connect the Rialto, it was decided to build the first stone bridge of Venice. The same method was used to build it, with the help of which thousands of houses were built here. More than 12,000 wooden piles were driven into the banks of the canal, and a stone arch bridge weighing 1,000 tons was constructed on them. This bridge was so successful that bridges made of stone started being built in the same way in the whole of Venice. Even today, these bridges are bearing the weight of people standing with the same strength. With the help of these bridges, it has become even easier to go from one island to another. There are no roads in Venice City, but only canals, and through these canals, people are transported from one place to another. The benefit of this to Venice was that goods, etc., could be transported to the city. It is quite easy to reach any corner of Venice. Normal cities at that time had only one path for pedestrians and horse carts. systems, which caused a lot of congestion. But Venice was completely different from this. Here, the path for pedestrians is completely different from the boats running in the canal, and the biggest advantage is that anyone can get down anywhere on the canal and reach their home quickly. Venice became the most powerful and rich city of Europe in no time, and the biggest reason for this was its location. If seen on the map, it is the Adriatic Sea, at whose end is Venice, and this sea meets the Mediterranean Sea directly, and the Mediterranean Sea is connected to Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. Even today, the easiest and cheapest way of goods transport is considered to be the sea route, that is to reach Western Europe from the Middle East and East Europe, where Italy, Austria, Hungary, Germany, and France are located. Ships could easily reach the end of the Adriatic Sea, where Venice is located today. Of course, East Europe is connected to the west by land route, but because ships were the only means of transport at that time, all the goods were sent from the Black Sea to the Mediterranean, and then to the Adriatic Sea in ships only. And because the number of cargo ships coming here was more, then cheap cargo ships were also available from Venice to send goods from Western Europe to East Europe because they had to return empty. Due to business activities, the Venetians became very rich. Seeing this, people from the surrounding countries also started settling in Venice, and the population here increased a lot. Now, the demand for drinking water in Venice has increased a lot. Of course, Venice, it is surrounded by water on all sides, but this is salty seawater which cannot be drunk. Due to the absence of natural springs or rivers, fresh water did not accumulate here. Drinking water was brought to Venice from the mainland in drums and loaded in boats. But when the population here increased to 170,000, there was a shortage of water. At this point, the Venetian engineers needed to use their brains once again. Something had to be done so that the growing population of Venice could get drinking water. Otherwise, the business here could also be affected. There were a few parts of the islands in Venice where construction had not been done. On those islands, a deep pit was dug to collect rainwater, and its walls were made waterproof with soil and stone. If you are thinking that rainwater will be stored directly in these deep pits, then it is not so. Rather, the thinking of the Venetians was more advanced than this. Wells were made in these pits, and sand and stones were put around it, and tiles were put on top of it, and the surface was made plain again. Some holes were left on the surface through which rainwater could go inside. When this water collected in the well after passing through sand and stones, it also got filtered. This is the natural process of water filtration. When rainwater comes down from the mountains in the form of a waterfall, it passes through stones and minerals and becomes absolutely clean and drinkable. This filter system of Venice worked on this basis, but the question is, how much rainwater can be collected in such a small area? For this, pipes were installed on the roofs of the nearby houses, which started pouring rainwater directly into this filter. The surface area for collection of such water was also increased. Soon, more than 600 small and big filter wells were installed in Venice. 10 to 12 houses started sharing a single filter well. The Venetians once again created a masterpiece to save their city, but there was still a big issue in Venice sewerage. Normally, underground sewerage lines are laid in cities, which take them away from the city, but there is no ground in Venice, so where will the sewerage lines be laid? Till now, people in Venice used to throw waste in the canal, but those whose houses did not have any canal passing directly in front of them used to throw their garbage on the pathways, would just throw it away. Due to this, these pathways were often filled with foul smell. In the 16th century, the Venetians built drains for waste collection from the houses, with the help of which the waste fell directly into the drain. These drains were kept above the normal level of the canal, due to which the liquid waste of the drains fell into the canal at the same time, but the solid waste remained in the drain. Then during the high tide, when the level of the canal increased, the water pulled the solid waste present inside the drains into the canal. The sea has high tide twice a day, and on such a day, the drains get cleaned automatically twice. Due to high and low tides twice a day, the seawater enters the Canal of Venice and replaces the polluted water. In this way, not only the drains of the houses but also the canals of Venice remain clean, and because it is salt water, which also works as a disinfectant, even today the same sewage system is working in Venice. Surprisingly, the engineering with which Venice was built 1,000 years ago is still working today. The building foundation, canal bridges, and sewerage system are working till now. Let me tell you that Venice is slowly sinking into the ground. This is a natural process due to which this city is sinking 1 to 2 millimeters every year. This is the only city in the world where there are neither cars nor motorbikes. There is a flood here every year, which is called Acqua Alta. In winters, the water level here rises a lot, and often the walkways go underwater. Every year, 60 lakh people visit Venice, but right now the local population here is less than 50,000. I hope you all will like and share this video a lot. We will wait for your loving comments. See you in the next amazing video.